with a little bit of an update on the SBA situation. What happens if you take a deferment? What happens if you're applying for new credit? First thing I want to talk about is what's going on with the SBA money. What's going on with the application process? How is this thing going to play itself out for all of us? And the reality is that it changes literally day by day. The rules, the application, the additional information that's needed, it's all over the place. But since that, the PPP program is slow. It is getting approved. So if your company has applied for the PPP program, we are hearing that a lot of companies are having success with their approvals. But as of just a moment before I jumped on this live, I have not heard of one company who has been fully funded yet. So we're all keeping our fingers crossed that the funds go through and people do get their hands on the money. As far as the EIDL program through the SBA, by the way, the PPP is through your bank that will be backstopped and funded by the SBA program, but the EIDL is more difficult. That appears to be a much more difficult process. So if I could make a recommendation to you, try for the PPP program first. Definitely fill out the application. Do not lose the opportunity to get your hands on this money. But I would suggest that you think very seriously about working with your local bank that is an SBA approved bank. We are hearing stories of big banks making it far more difficult for customers than the smaller banks. So we would suggest to you that you work with a local bank. There's no doubt in my mind that the government will fund these approvals for the PPP or the EIDL program, but as far as when, we don't know. Soon, I do believe, but as you're filling out the applications, I beg you to please dot your I's and cross your T's and don't take the path of least resistance. Give as much information as you possibly can to the lender in order to maximize your chances of getting your SBA request for the two different types of loans, the PPP loan or the EIDL loan approved. So let's move now to the second topic tonight, which is about what does it take to currently get approved in the marketplace. You want to buy new equipment, you want to buy used equipment, you want to grow your fleet, you want to replace your fleet, you want to trade in units. What does the lending environment look like? This economic crisis that we're in is different than 08 and 09. And the primary difference is because there is a tremendous amount of liquidity available. In other words, the banks have money. And in 08, 09, that wasn't the case. The banks are liquid and they are lending. However, there are a few things that are very important for you to understand if you're applying for credit, whether it's for commercial, whether it's to commercial fleet or to maybe your local bank or even one of our competitors. I just want to help you with it tonight. The first thing that you're going to be asked is, what is your story, your current story? What are you doing to protect yourself against COVID-19 from an economic standpoint? Not are you, disinfecting your trucks and your steering wheels and things like that, or your office. What are you doing as a business to combat it? We need to know that information. The second thing is, what is your plan? How will you navigate through this? Is it because you're going to get the PPP money? Is it because you have reserves for the rainy day that you feel you can weather the storm? Are you making some cuts in your fixed expenses and your staff? Are you trading equipment and not replacing it, so actually you're getting some cash into the business? What's the plan? And now more than ever, that story and that plan matters when you're approaching a new bank or finance company for money. The third piece that really matters is, what's your proof? Primarily proof of revenue. So unlike even just 30 days ago, how you make your money is very, very important. Tell us what your revenue stream is. Tell us about your contracts. How long have you had the contract? How much does the contract pay per month? Is the contract continuing? Does the contract seem to be able to perform at the same level that it has in the past? Help the bank and the finance company with proof of your revenue, which then triggers that in most situations you're going to be asked for some bank statements now. The idea that that quick little 4-line credit application that you could do even 30 days ago, it's harder to get those approved right now. Even if you've got great personal credit and you've been around for a long time, we are finding our credit departments are asking for verification of your existing cash position and verified through bank statements. So get your 3 months bank statements ready and submit them with your deal along with your complete credit application. We would also suggest you get 2 years tax returns fired up. Most of our clients don't have 2019s. That's okay, but we're going to ask most likely for some 2018 numbers and maybe your year-to-date internally prepared 2019 numbers. And now that we're past the first quarter of 2020, don't be surprised if the banks are starting to come back and asking you for your Q1 internally prepared income statement and balance sheet. If you have the ability to provide copies of the contracts that you have that justify and prove out your revenue stream, please submit those. That helps. We see this a lot in which the client applies for credit, but they haven't quite decided on the specific piece of equipment. And what I can tell you tonight is those changes, that vacillation back and forth of I'm not exactly sure whether I'm going to get this one or I'm going to get that one, it's kind of freaking out our credit guys. So I would challenge you, know the equipment that you want to buy, because every company is so overworked right now with handling deferrals and processing new business that changes make it very difficult to be efficient, and changes slow the process down. So when you're ready to go, then go ahead and do your submittal. Obviously your credit score matters, late payments, but down payment matters a little bit more too. If you just sold a piece of equipment or you're trading in a piece of equipment, that down payment is more important than ever. Let's talk about the deferment. Are you going to be hurt if you request a deferment in getting approved for your next piece of equipment? And I've had a lot of conversations with the banks that service our loans, and I can tell you that in almost all circumstances, they have put out very specific guidelines that your request for a deferment will not hurt your ability to get financing. Now, if you just asked for a deferment and now you're looking for a new piece of equipment, that is a little problematic, right? They're going to say, well, wait a minute, he or she didn't have the cash flow for the last batch of trucks that we did. How do they have the cash flow for this new piece of equipment? So be sensitive about that. But if you're not buying equipment and you need the deferment and you ask for it, the odds are it is not going to hurt you in the future. So my point is, hold off as long as you possibly can before you request the deferment. But if you need it, ask for it and get it. And then take that deferment and figure out what can you do with that cash flow to go ahead and secure your business from a cash flow standpoint, stabilize your business, and maybe even turn that money into additional revenue through new opportunities. So I'm not overly concerned that if you need a deferment, that it's going to hurt you, because I've had very detailed conversations with our servicing and lenders, and they are promising me through real specific mandates that deferments will not hurt your ability to get approved down the road. I'm hopeful that that helps you tonight, just with a little bit of an update on the SBA situation. What happens if you take a deferment? Don't worry about it. What happens if you're applying for new credit? Dot the I's, cross the T's, submit more information, tell us your story. Document that you've got consistent revenue. If it's contracts, that's great. If it's just a phone number where we can go ahead and call your hauling reference or your contract and they can give us a good reference, that goes a long way. Support it with 3 months bank statements and maybe some tax returns or financial statements. And stay motivated. Stay true to the fact that understand that transportation runs America. Whether it's trucking or it's construction or it's towing or it's delivery, transportation has to expand again. It can only stay contracted for so long. And we believe that so long in this thing is another 60 to 90 days. I'm not saying in 90 days it's going to return to the heydays of 2018, but it won't stay where it is for too long. That much I know for sure.